Welcome to the Autism in Black podcast, where we focus on all things autism and the Black parent experience. Our goal is to always educate, support, and empower parents to advocate for not only their children, but themselves. Hello, and welcome to the Autism in Black podcast. I'm Maria Davis-Pierre, a licensed mental health counselor in the state of Florida and America's #1 autism advocate for Black parents. I'm the founder and CEO of Autism in Black, Inc., where we aim to include the excluded. Today, we have Cheryl Poe on the podcast. She is the CEO and founder of Advocating for Kids and has been a reoccurring guest on our podcast. Today, Cheryl and I discuss what it's like being a speaker for the Autism in Black conference. We are gearing up for our 3rd annual conference, April 28th through the 30th of 2023, and we are now looking for speakers. So if after hearing Cheryl talk and it resonates with you that you want to share your expertise with us during our 3rd annual Autism in Black conference, I invite you to go to www.autisminblack.org/proposal and fill out to become one of our speakers for our upcoming 3rd annual conference. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy today's episode. Make sure to check out our show notes to find out how you can grab a monthly, annual, or premium subscription to the Autism Advocate Parenting magazine. And make sure to use the coupon code Autism in Black, all caps, so that you can receive a great discount and get some extra free resources in your account. The link for that is in the show notes, or you can go directly to autismadvocateparentingmagazine.com/autisminblack and make sure to use the code Autism in Black, all caps. Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Autism in Black podcast. I am so excited to have my mentor, my friend, my family back for her 3rd appearance on the Autism in Black podcast. Cheryl Poe, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So this is kind of like a mini, episode. Cheryl, of course, was one of our amazing speakers at the 2nd annual Autism in Black conference. And of course, she was also a speaker at the inaugural Autism in Black conference. And Cheryl really wanted to come on the podcast and really share her experience from a speaker perspective, from a presenter perspective. As you all know, we are already planning for the 3rd annual, and the dates are coming, and all of that information is coming, especially for those of you who are looking to be speakers at next year's conference. So I wanted you guys to have an insider perspective from a speaker who has spoke at both conferences. We'll talk about what she's seen, the growth she's seen, her experiences. So let's get to it, Cheryl. Go ahead. What would you like the people to know about your experience from a speaker perspective from the conference?
I think amazing. And when I don't say that lightly, I truly mean that I was amazed by the number of Black therapists, Black parents, Black families, Black autistic, Black ADHD experts and participants that came together to talk about how our disabilities impact us. It was amazing. I've never experienced anything like it from a perspective of even when others try and do events that they label or try and market to us as Black families or Black advocates or Black autistics or ADHD, they miss the mark. They may have one person presenting, or they may have just one topic, or they forget to interweave the Black experience into any aspect of disability. But not you, Maria. Woo. I don't know how you did it, but all of your presenters were amazing, and I was so honored to be able to be a part of the group of presenters giving so much information, but then also the community that your conference had. Right? You used, what was that? What is the app that you used? I really like that.
I used Hova this year.
And that was amazing. I mean, I'm not a big tech person, but I was able to navigate that particular platform very well. You know, I was able to upload for the exhibit booth, the virtual exhibit booth. I was able to upload materials that you then had like a contest that people would vote on in the best picture. And that was just fun because it was engaging. I loved developing, I was able to develop like a meetup event. So after, say, I did my presentation, another day, you were able to set up a meetup event and have people come and ask you questions, or you could go to someone else's meetup just to socialize and network, or people would elaborate more so on the topics that they presented. So it was like a conference within a conference within a conference. So it was just the networking opportunities were amazing. It was great. And it also had an opportunity where you could offer a service, right? You could offer a coupon, a discount, and then as you did your presentation, then people would be on where your platform is, and they could see what you were offering and they could select it. And I'm proud to say I definitely received some business from your format, and I appreciate you for that. I received some clients I was able to secure because of your workshop or your conference, and a couple presentations opportunities to present to other groups of people. So it was really a wonderful experience. I really like the program. I really like how you space things out. And I love the fact that within the platform, even after Sunday, which was the last day of your conference, that there were still opportunities within that platform to connect with others, to check in with the other presenters, and just kind of see what the feedback was about everything that occurred.
Yes, you have said a lot. One, thank you for your amazing feedback. I am just humbled. I really, as you know, and I tell you all the time, I really don't do this for like the celebrity of it, or, you know, people just, oh, there's Maria and she's doing, I really do it for the community and to bring the resources to us. So just hearing that, you know, you haven't had an experience like you've had at our conference just really warms my heart and it lets us know that we're doing what I set out to do.
Yes, so you really are. You really are. I mean, even as a then participant, because one of the benefits of speaking is being able to presenting is to watch other presenters, and I learned so much from a perspective of like that younger generation of advocates or those with disabilities, and learning their experiences and how they are using all of the social media platforms that didn't exist, right? For when I was growing up with disabilities, or, you know, by the time they were well developed, I was very cautious of allowing my kids to be on there. But you know, a couple of your presenters were just amazing in just sharing how life is now under social media and what that experience is like. So it gave me a perspective to consider in working with my clients. So I did appreciate that. But I have to admit, you got me on the panel, like parent panel. Ooh,
those panels they were my favorite. Part one, because it was just so authentic. And I think what I felt the attendees got was seeing, one, how traumatizing the world can be to us as Black disabled individuals who are raising children. Also as Black parents who are just raising children who are autistic, because some of our parents were do not have a diagnosis, but Cheryl does, and she's talked about it. So just having that perspective and talking about it, I think for everyone, it was just like, oh my goodness, I wasn't expecting that. Two, I didn't really even understand the impact myself until we talked about it as a group. So having us talk about it as a group, I was like, oh my gosh, this really does impact me and how I parent my children.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, it was, look, I'm not gonna be on your panel no more.
She's saying that, y'all, but she's already agreed to open up the 3rd annual while she's talking, okay?
So, and that's the, I think when I say amazing part about your conference is the little surprises. Like, I've been going to these kinds of conferences and presenting at these kinds of conferences for years, but never have I been as emotionally connected and vulnerable, like in my authentic self with all of my Blackness and all of my flaws, and talking about them with a group of other Black parents, right? And how that and how that shapes our experiences with our children. You brought me, I was like in tears.
Yeah.
In tears because it just hit, I was in tears because I felt like I was releasing a toxin, an unnecessary toxin around who I am as a Black mother with ADHD, raising Black males in a very racist state.
Yes.
And looking at, the guilt and hearing other Black mothers connecting with the idea of, their disability somehow represents my mistake. And then also we're diving into the stigma a disability has in the Black community, right?
Yeah.
And we are all having that shared experience about that shame, right? The shame, whether it be the shame that we carry as an individual, as a mom with a disability, or even the shame that we may have around thinking it's somehow our fault that our children have a disability.
Yeah.
And how to navigate that. That was powerful. I mean, because it's the disability community, the advocacy community is not inclusive of Black voices. So I don't ever have an opportunity, at least as much as I would like to, right? To have those kind of experiences where the Black mamas can talk about their Black trauma and how that influences how they choose to advocate or not advocate for their child.
Yes.
And it was just really powerful. In the comments in the audience, I mean, they were like right with us, right? They were like, oh my gosh, yes, I feel that way too. Or, oh yes, I have to watch out with my family because I know they'll do this. And it was like, I felt like I was home. It's like I finally found home, I so wish, Maria, we had what you do now when my children were first diagnosed. I wish I needed this. It would have been a lot easier. I wouldn't have felt as alone.
Yeah. Me too. That's the whole reason I started the organization, was because I didn't have it, right?
Right.
And just to know that, one, and I've got this from other speakers as well, that we were able to not mask, to sit and be so authentic and in our Blackness and feel safe to say our truths.
Yes.
And not be fearful of consequences or repercussions or any of that. That was my whole mission with this conference, with my organization in general, is just creating that safe space. And then to know that not only do my attendees get that, but the speakers get that, that really just, I have goosebumps because it just makes me feel so good.
Yeah,
I love it.
And you should. I met some really neat people, So I really appreciated that. And like I said, that was healing. I mean, it was difficult when I did it. And I remember when, like in the process, I don't even remember what question it was. that prompted my emotional response. I
I
think we were
remember.
talking about what it was like to raise a child with a disability and have a disability, kind of like, what were those encounters like, and just and then just connecting with my original feelings, or my original thoughts, my original challenges in the disability world as it related trying to get my son's services that he needed.
Yeah, and what was different from your perspective is that most of us got diagnosed after our children, but you had your diagnosis prior to.
That's what the question was.
Yes, and as Cheryl has stated on a previous episode of the podcast, she was a child with an IEP. So she was talking it from a whole different perspective than the actual other parents who had a diagnosis, or those who didn't have a diagnosis. Her perspective was completely different from ours. And I think that also was so impactful to everybody, and even yourself, because you were like, I didn't even realize that this is what was going on until this moment. Right. And she sent me a text. It was threatening me. She was like, I can't believe you got me all emotional on this panel. And yes, I love that. And for those of you who don't know, Cheryl has really been founding in this field in general, which is why she's my mentor. She's sat on huge organization boards. Okay, she has done so much in the advocacy field, and she always speaks on really the voices of Black and Brown children, and needing to get that spotlight on that intersectionality piece. And that is what her whole organization, Advocating for Kids, has been about, and what she's done for many years. And just to know that someone who is truly a legend in the game is getting that kind of impact from, being a speaker at my conference is just truly amazing.
Yeah. See, I told you amazing was the word. And it really is. And because you're right. I mean, I've been on the board of COPA. That's one of the largest, I won't say the full name just because, but, that's the largest or the most recognized special education, civil rights parent kind of group. It's a parent attorney advocate group. And, they have missed the mark on many occasions on ensuring that the voices and the authenticness about what it means to be Black and raise a child with a disability in America, and really struggled with understanding the differences. And I'm not just saying them, I'm giving you an example because they're, like you said, big boards, and they're one of them, right? There are others out there that we know that are seen in the disability world as the gurus of special education, and they're white. But guess what? Half of them don't even provide services to Black families. There is an advocate right now that was a part of a program that I was doing. And she's very connected with the rights, right law, Pete them right law, and all that. And she has never in her life worked with a Black family, and she's been doing this longer than me. And I'm sitting there thinking, how is that possible? How is it that you've been doing this and you're considered a national guru and you've never worked with a Black family? And that goes to let you know there's some issues in the disability community.
And also know that her experience is common. Her experience is extremely common. And it's really why there's so many gaps when it comes to Black children. It's really why these organizations do not understand the importance of the intersections of race and disability, because they have no experience. They don't have any lived experience of what it's like to be Black in America. They don't have any field experience of working with individuals who are living this life. So they believe that there is no difference. And that is what's really harming us, because
dangerous.
it's dangerous. It's traumatizing to think that you can go into an IEP meeting and not think about the needs of a Black child just because they're Black. You have to think about that, because there are so many different pieces. And that is why I continue to have these conferences and bring in these leading experts and have them talk about many of things that they're seeing in their expertise. Cheryl gave an amazing presentation on restraints and seclusion.
Yeah.
And why we need to know about that. When I was coming into the field of advocacy, that wasn't even on my radar. I didn't even think about that. And when Cheryl was like, yeah, you need to make sure that this is going on and that this is happening. And I went straight to have an IEP meeting and put some safeguards for my children right in the IEP, because one thing she's gonna make sure is that my kids are good.
That's right, because I would not have to come to Florida, because I got you. If I had to, I'd be there.
Exactly.
But I would prefer you put it in the IP up front so they don't mess with none of the Pierre kids.
Exactly. And the thing is, we just don't get that information. I never even knew about the rooms. I never even knew schools were out here restraining children in that manner. We see a lot in Florida. So I knew that they were Baker acting and handcuffing and things like that, but actually in the school system restraining children because they don't know how to de-escalate a situation properly, that is something that scared me. And that is why I just want everybody to know, one, that Cheryl has so much information regarding this topic. She is the guru, right? She knows this is what she does. She advocates for this in her state. We're talking about policies and things of that nature. She knows this information. So to have her come and speak on this and open the conference with this was something that I am going to forever treasure, because as if you've watched any of the lives with my husband, he will tell you, he was saying that y'all couldn't afford Cheryl to come speak, but I couldn't afford it either, huh? Okay. So I can't afford it either. So I'm just so humbled that she was able to come and share that knowledge. And she had one of the highest complimented sessions at the conference, just based on her sharing that information. And she only had an hour to try to give us as much as possible, but it was so impactful. So impactful. So thank you.
It was pretty amazing to see that it was so highly regarded from all of the attendees, which is important to me, just to know that I'm giving content to our community, and so that our community can protect our kids. Because my feeling is, like you said, there are probably quite a few people, hundreds. You had hundreds of people at your conference, and those that are going to be able to also, because you have recordings that you sell too of it, right?
Yes. So the attendees get lifetime, and then they are on sale for those of you who did not attend. And if you want to hear Cheryl's session, we will have that in the show notes for how you can purchase the recording.
You really should, because there are precautions that you can put in place to protect your children from possibly being killed by a restraint or seclusion, because death is real. It is happening, and it doesn't have to happen. There are other things that you can put in place to protect your child from being restrained and secluded. So it's important that we do our best to protect our children. Because of course, statistically, guess who gets restrained the most?
Yes, and I'm sure y'all know, because this is what the Autism in Black podcast. So of course it is our children. It is our children. It's our Black children who have a disability.
Exactly.
They're the ones.
This is the sad part about, even with the restrained seclusions, not only are Black students with disabilities restrained more, Black children overall, even without disabilities, right? So when you break down statistically, and you're looking at it from a perspective of Black students with disabilities, Black students without disabilities, in both of those categories, we are overrepresented in being restrained and secluded across the country. Yes. There are cases where we are killed, our Black kids are dying due to restraints and seclusion. And I don't think people realize that.
They don't.
I think it's something that we, there are some federal laws that are coming out about that. And I think, again, in order for our voices and our views and our lens to be part of developing policies that do impact us the most, we need to know about these kinds of things, right? We need to know about Keeping Every Kid Safe Act so that you can reach out to your congressperson when the time comes to push them to vote for that. Yeah. So I too, from a perspective of just ensuring that our community has a place to go to get that kind of information to protect our children and our community, again, amazing.
Thank you. And the last question that I want to ask you about your experience is, because you were the opener at the first and the second, what changes did you notice from year one to year two?
Well, year one was big, but this year was even bigger. So the amount of people that actually were there was almost like overwhelming. It was like, wow. I mean, at times, I think when I was looking on our panel, and there was like over 100 people just participating in sessions that we're doing. So that was great. And that's not the whole conference. That's just a session. I mean, that's amazing. Some people only get 100, but we did NAPSI. I don't think we had 100 people the whole thing. So to me, that how much it's grown. And the platform was just amazing. You provided more opportunity for speakers to interact with each other and connect and network. You offered more opportunities for participants to not only network with each other, but then also network with speakers. You had giveaways this time that were fun. And as a speaker, I actually wanted to be a part of that. I was like, oh, I didn't think about it before, but you made space for us as speakers to engage even more than maybe we had thought we could or even knew how, because of the platform and the different kinds of things that were offered. And well, and that panel, the climate, the temperature, what is it? There was a sense or an essence about the conference that allowed vulnerability, right? Unexpected vulnerability. That for me, that I really felt that this time. It was, and let's be real, your first one was off the chain too. It was good. But I gotta say, this one really hit the spot. I don't even know how you can match this. The only way you can match this is that we're all in person. It's the only way. Because to see all those faces. Yeah, I agree. What we saw missing from the first one was the ability to connect more. And that is something that we really strive for year two, is to have more of a connection, more of that sense of community, so that it doesn't stop on the day that we end the conference. You can continue those things. Even after, like the day of, like, say we were speaking until 5, there were actually events and things that people were planning for 7 o'clock in that evening. And so it reminded me of, like, when you go to a conference in real life, you guys go and have drinks and you continue to talk about stuff. There was an element of that kind of socialization that did exist in this year's conference that I did enjoy.
Yes, and that's why we chose the app. That's why we made a lot of decisions that we did, for this year, because we just really wanted that community aspect. We wanted that more engagement because it is virtual. We wanted to have the ability to have things that in-person conferences have, but still be safe, because y'all know Dr. Berry and his protocol. So I'll let y'all know the third annual is still virtual. But I am just so honored, so humbled that you really, captured the essence of what we're trying to do. I'm so honored that you always open our conference and set the stage for the entire weekend. And I'm so excited that she is going to be opening year 3, because I told her the Sunday that the conference ended, and I was like, you're doing year 3, right? I will. So yeah.
It's kind of hard to say no. Like, everybody can say no. So
we
are. It's almost impossible for me to say no. You know that, right?
Look, I'm just like, I'm going to use it. I'm like, you said it, so you got to do it.
Yeah, I'm going to do it. And hey, I'm glad to do it. I am honored, really, Maria, to be connected with Autism in Blacks Conference. I mean, they're amazing. So thank you for it is a pleasure to know you and to work with you and to see your growth in all things as it relates to how many doors you're opening for Black families, for Black speakers, for Black advocates to have a voice, so thank you.
That means a lot. I'm so happy to know that the speakers who speak at the conference continue to get opportunities, because that's a main goal as well, because we are underrepresented. So the fact that opportunities come just from being a speaker at the conference just, warms my heart, and I'm happy that is happening. And thank you so much for being on another episode. And you all, we will be dropping the dates, and we will be letting you know that if you want to be a speaker and get some of these, advantages that Cheryl has talked about and the experiences that Cheryl has talked about, we will be releasing our call for proposals, and we'll be letting you know about that. And then for those of you who did miss out on year 2, the links are in the show notes for how you can go ahead and purchase and watch the replays and get, all of that information. So thank you.
Definitely some good stuff. I'm telling you guys, get it. You won't be disappointed. I guarantee you will learn something. You will learn something.
Thank you. And we will catch you all on the next episode of the Autism in Black podcast. Thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you.
If you haven't done so, make sure to subscribe to our podcast so you can always be notified when a new episode drops. To get the resources shared on today's podcast and the show notes, make sure to go to autisminblack.org/podcast. And be sure to share your takeaways from the show on IG stories and Twitter using our official hashtag AIBpod so that we can find them and share them. And if you want to continue the conversation from today's episode, make sure to join our Autism in Black podcast Facebook community. And please make sure to answer the questions to gain entry. Thank you for listening and joining me this week. Have a good one.